The first rule aboard the interspecies transit station Helios Reach was simple: do not ask humans about war. Everyone knew it, even the newly arrived species from the outer spirals. The rule wasn't written on any wall or enforced by station security, but it existed all the same, passed in hushed warnings between diplomats, merchants, and refugees alike. Humans were friendly enough, approachable, even disarmingly casual. They laughed loudly, shared food without hesitation, and treated aliens as if difference were nothing more than an interesting detail. But war? War was the line no one crossed. Taylor crossed it anyway. She sat in the observation gallery, her slender form folded neatly on a bench grown from bioluminescent crystal. Beyond the transparent arc of the station's dome, a blue-white star burned in silence. Cargo ships drifted like slow-moving insects, their engines flaring in controlled bursts as they aligned for docking. Beside her sat the human. He had been there when she arrived, already seated, legs stretched out, boots crossed at the ankles, gazing at the star as if it belonged to him. He wore a simple gray jacket with no visible insignia, no rank markers, no obvious sign of status. Just another human, which somehow made him more unsettling. Humans were never just anything. Taylor was a Calarian, her species tall and willowy, skin the soft silver blue of moonlit water. Delicate fronds extended from the sides of her neck, fluttering slightly as she breathed. Among her people, those fronds betrayed emotion more reliably than words. Right now, they trembled. She had not intended to sit beside him. In fact, she had planned to leave the gallery the moment she noticed a human present. But the benches were full, the station crowded with travelers fleeing border skirmishes and collapsing trade routes. And the human had looked peaceful. So she stayed. For several minutes, neither of them spoke. The silence was comfortable, broken only by the faint hum of the station's life support systems. Taylor found herself stealing glances at him, at the calm set of his shoulders, the slow, steady rhythm of his breathing. Eventually, curiosity overcame caution. "You're far from your territory," she said, her voice soft, accented by the harmonic undertones common to her species. The human turned his head slightly, offering a polite smile. His eyes were dark, reflective, and unreadable. "So are you," he replied. She hesitated, then nodded. "My home system is no longer safe." "I'm sorry," he said simply. The sincerity in his tone surprised her. Many species offered sympathy as a formality, but humans, when they chose to, made it feel real. They returned to silence. Taylor told herself she should stop there. Polite conversation, nothing more. That was the safe choice. But the question had been building inside her since her evacuation shuttle fled the burning edges of Calarian space. It whispered in her thoughts, demanding voice. Against her better judgment, she leaned closer. "May I ask you something?" she said quietly. The human glanced at her, then back at the star. "You already are." Her fronds fluttered with nervous energy. "They say humans ended 3 galactic wars." "Depends who you ask," he replied. "They say you fight until there is nothing left to fight with." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "That you never truly lose." This time, he turned fully toward her. "Is there a question in there?" he asked gently. Taylor swallowed. Every instinct screamed at her to stop, to change the subject, to stand up and leave. But if she didn't ask now, she knew she never would. She leaned in close enough that her voice would not carry. "Human," she whispered, "what happens if your species decides someone must not exist anymore?" For a long moment, the human said nothing. Taylor felt a cold ripple of fear crawl down her spine. She had crossed the line. She had asked the dangerous question. When he finally spoke, his voice was calm, almost soothing. "We make very sure," he said, that we never have to decide that lightly. Her fronds stiffened. That wasn't an answer. He smiled faintly. Yes, it was. She stared at him, confused. You didn't say what you do. Because what we do isn't the important part, he replied. It's what it costs us. Taylor's eyes narrowed. Among the Calarian people, war was a calculated exchange, resources spent, territory gained, lives weighed like numbers on a ledger. Emotion was considered inefficient. You speak in riddles, she said. He chuckled softly. I've been told that before. She studied him more closely now. There was something beneath his calm, something coiled and contained, like a star held together by its own gravity. My people are being hunted, she said quietly. The Varkeen collective has decided we are inconvenient. His expression did not change, but something in his eyes darkened. They did the same to 3 other species, she continued. Each one believed resistance was futile. Each one was erased. The human nodded slowly. I've read the reports. Her fronds flared. Then you know what they are capable of. I do. Then you know why I asked. Her voice trembled despite her effort to control it. If humans were in our place, what would you do? He leaned back against the bench, folding his hands together. We'd start by evacuating civilians, he said. Children first. Non-combatants. Anyone who doesn't want to fight. Her fronds twitched. And then we'd talk, he said. She let out a short, disbelieving laugh. The Varkeen do not negotiate. Most bullies don't, he replied. Then why? Because talking isn't about convincing the enemy, he interrupted calmly. It's about buying time. Taylor frowned. Time for what? He looked back out at the star. Time to prepare, he said. Time to adapt. Time to make sure that if it comes to war, it ends on our terms. Her fronds curled inward, a sign of deep unease. That sounds like what everyone says before they lose. The human smile returned, but this time it didn't reach his eyes. Maybe, he said, but there's something you should understand about humans. She waited. We don't fight to win territory, he continued. We don't fight for resources. We can usually make or find those elsewhere. Then why fight at all? She asked. He turned to her again, meeting her gaze directly. We fight to make sure no one ever asks that question again. A chill passed through her. You mean, as a lesson? As a warning, he corrected. Lessons can be forgotten. The observation gallery felt suddenly smaller, the distant star harsher in its glare. Taylor realized her fronds were trembling violently now, broadcasting fear she could no longer hide. You speak of annihilation, she whispered. He shook his head. No. We speak of deterrence. What is the difference? The difference, he said, is that deterrence leaves survivors. She struggled to steady her breathing. You make it sound controlled. It is, he replied. That's the terrifying part. Silence fell between them again. Ships continued their slow dance outside the station, unaware of the weight of the conversation unfolding beneath the dome. Finally, Taylor spoke. Why are you telling me this? She asked. He considered the question. Because you asked, he said. And because I can see the look in your eyes. She swallowed. What look? The look of someone trying to decide whether hope is still logical. Her fronds drooped. My people are not warriors, she said. We are scholars, artists, traders. So were we, he said quietly. She blinked. What? Once, he continued, humans were explorers and philosophers. We argued about art, wrote poetry about stars, and believed progress would save us from ourselves. What changed? She asked. He exhaled slowly. Someone decided we were weak, he said. And they asked us a dangerous question. Taylor felt her pulse quicken. What question? He met her gaze again, his voice still calm, still even. What are you willing to lose to survive? The words seemed to echo inside her mind. And your answer? She asked. The human stood, stretching slightly as if preparing to leave. Our answer, he said, is written across a dozen star systems that no longer belong to anyone. Fear and awe warred within her. As he turned to go, Taylor found herself rising as well. Wait, she said. If the Varkeen come for us, and we have nowhere left to run, he paused, looking over his shoulder. Then tell your leaders to contact us, he said. Why would you help? She asked. He smiled softly, almost sadly. Because we remember what it's like, he said, to whisper that question into the dark and hope someone answers. With that, he walked away, disappearing into the flow of travelers. Taylor stood frozen, her fronds slowly settling as the station's hum filled the space he left behind. For the first time since her evacuation, she felt something unfamiliar stir within her. It wasn't fear. It was relief. Somewhere in the vast, uncaring galaxy, there existed a species that understood the cost of survival and was willing to pay it so others wouldn't have to ask the same dangerous question. And for the first time, Taylor believed her people might not be erased after all. The warning came 3 cycles later. Taylor stood in the Calarian Provisional Council chamber, a circular room of light and living crystal hastily assembled within Helios reach. The elders' fronds shimmered with agitation as holographic projections flared to life above the central dais. Varkeen wore signatures. Dozens of them. They were not negotiating. They were not posturing. Their fleets advanced with the cold certainty of executioners who believed the outcome already decided. Panic rippled through the chamber. We have hours, not days, one elder said, voice tight. Our evacuation routes are compromised. We should scatter, another argued. Hide among neutral systems. And be hunted one by one? Taylor heard herself say. All eyes turned toward her. She felt the memory of the human's calm gaze steady her racing thoughts. There is another option, she said. One we dismissed as unthinkable. The council murmured uneasily. You mean the humans, an elder said. Yes, Taylor replied. I met one here. Not a general. Not a diplomat. Just a human. Skepticism flickered through the room. Humans provoke escalation, someone warned. Taylor's fronds lifted with quiet resolve. No. They end it. The decision was made in silence. A single message was sent. Not a plea. Not a demand. A question. What does it cost to make this stop? The reply arrived faster than anyone expected. No words. Just coordinates. And a time. The Varkeen armada emerged from hyperspace like a blade sliding from a sheath. Their ships formed precise attack formations, weapons already charging. To them, the Calarian remnants were a formality, another name to be removed from galactic records. Then the sensors screamed. Human vessels translated into real space between the Varkeen fleet and Calarian territory, not dozens, not hundreds, but thousands. Ships of every class and configuration, bearing no unified insignia except one shared transponder code. A single broadcast cut across all channels. This is a human interdiction zone, the calm voice said. Power down and hold position. The Varkeen commander laughed. You have no claim here, primate, he replied. Move or be erased. The human response came without anger. We already moved, the voice said. You're the one standing still. Something shifted. Space itself seemed to tighten. Varkeen targeting systems failed simultaneously. Navigation algorithms began returning impossible results. Entire flotillas drifted off formation, their engines stuttering as if reality had lost interest in obeying them. What is this? The commander demanded. The human answered evenly. Containment, he said. You pushed far enough that we brought out things we prefer to forget exist. A second signal pulsed through the void, ancient, heavy, and final. Human doomsday protocols. They did not fire. They did not need to. Every Varkeen ship received the same data packet at once. Projections, simulations, outcomes. Not threats, but certainties. 1,000 possible wars, all ending the same way. Systems sterilized. Trade routes collapsed. The Varkeen name spoken only in history, lectures about extinction-level arrogance. For the first time in their expansionist history, the Varkeen hesitated. You would destroy entire regions of space, the commander said, voice strained. Including yourselves. Yes, the human replied calmly. If that's what it took. Silence stretched. Then, slowly, the Varkeen fleet powered down. Weapons went dark. Engines cooled. The retreat order followed moments later. Taylor watched the aftermath from the same observation gallery where it had all begun. Human ships withdrew quietly, as if embarrassed by their own presence. No celebrations. No declarations of victory. Just a job finished. She felt a presence beside her. The human sat down again, just as he had before. You came, she said softly. We said we would, he replied. Her fronds shimmered with gratitude. You could have destroyed them. He nodded. Yes. Why didn't you? He looked at the star beyond the dome. Because if we erase every monster, he said, we eventually become the only ones left. She turned to him. What happens now? Now, he said, standing once more, your people rebuild. And the galaxy remembers that asking certain questions comes with consequences. He paused, then added gently, but not always the ones you fear. As he walked away, Taylor realized something profound. Humans were not the galaxy's executioners. They were its last warning. And this time, the warning had been heard.